little shocked that where they came from. Not shocked we got 7, but Minnesota and Washington D.C. and some other states, Indianapolis. We put it on APA Kentucky, which, to be honest with you, that's the American Planning Association, our Kentucky chapter. Henry knows. I mean, there's some job listings there. We all kind of think it doesn't get much traction, but there's a whole bunch of consultant logos at the bottom. Mostly in the state, Ohio, Tennessee, and they must look at that website because that must be where everyone saw it. A lot of folks called me and said that is where they saw it. So they saw it in APA Kentucky and submitted their proposals. They were all submitted timely by the deadline, and they are varied. There's 7, and they range from $7,100 to about $96,000. Yeah. So. Yeah, 96,000. Good firms, experience in some of these things, just some different approaches. So with that, I think the plan was, based on our RFP, that we'd bring the comp plan committee together with our ex officio members, the judge, the 2 mayors, and our chair, and you guys would discuss this and make a decision whether we want to do a housing study, whether the proposals hit the mark, whether these are affordable, and give the staff direction on what we do next. And as you remember, we're going to do a housing study that looks at affordable housing directives, tries to get at some specific targets, and at the same time creates a standalone new housing chapter for the comprehensive plan. Would be, that was one of the things we were asking as a spin-off product deliverable would be a new chapter for the comp plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to you all and want to hear your all's feedback, and not sure how we come to a consensus. Point out we are live streaming. Some of the firms might be listening to the meeting, not sure. Indicated they might. So just kind of leave it at that and just let you guys discuss here what you're thinking and what your feelings were with the proposals. Again, I emailed them out to you all. It was a pretty big attachment there, so you might have trouble getting to some of them or opening them. And I did ask for y'all maybe to rank them if you could. Really didn't get solid. Just a few of y'all sent me back kind of specific rankings, so I do have that, but probably not enough to take the group of you and say, here's the consensus. I just got just a few of y'all gave me specific rankings.
I just didn't say it.
It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So I figured we'll just talk, and if you guys come to a consensus, however you can get there, or if not, that's where we're at.
Before, obviously some of the higher amounts on some of those proposals, I don't know as far as feasibility on a budget, from a budget perspective. I mean, they look good. I mean, yeah. They look good, but once you talk about 60-some thousand to 90-some thousand, I don't know. Obviously, we've got a certain amount of money we can set toward it, and then we would have to seek assistance from the county,
the cities,
Versailles and Midway. And then obviously we had one that come in at 7,100. That was the bluegrass ad. Mm-hmm. I noticed that was remarkably cheaper, more or less expensive than the others. And then the next one was, I think, the Kentucky Blueprint, if I'm not Blueprint Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was what, 16 and change, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. And they jump up there pretty good after that.
They go to 30 and
move up the hill pretty well.
I know the Blueprint Kentucky, they had a body of work. Did they do?
Yes. So, and Judge might chime in here, but I believe they were contracted by the cities and the counties, or maybe the chamber, I'm not sure, but there was a study done that delivered in 22 for Woodford County. It's called the Woodford County Housing Study. And at that time they were CEDIK or whatever their acronym was. And it went so far. It was more of a generalized housing study, if you guys recall. I don't think technically it's an addendum to the comprehensive plan at this point, but it was something that I think was sent to the Planning Commission to be looked at.
I think it grew, if I recall correctly, I think it grew out of an affordable housing task force in Midway that just found
Started
that
with
we
that.
didn't have data.
Yep.
Just looking for some data.
Right. So, well, there's the mayor right there. So, wherever you want to sit, Mayor. So yeah, we're just talking about the 22 housing study. So yeah, that was done and commissioned and delivered. And I think the idea was, that's what got us thinking about. Once we went back and revisited that, and we're talking about through the comp plan, it was like, if we went a little further in a kind of our data analysis to specific income types, specific units, targeted unit types, incomes, that's what we'd really want to see land in a comprehensive plan as a directive or as a goal. And then eventually we'd get to a land use map discussion. But I think that's what got this started. And then again, the RFP was focused on the 2 urban service boundaries as a smaller subset than an entire county-wide study.
And Director, would you mind just to go through each and the entity and the amount? Just
Yep, sure. Yep.
Because I can recall them, but I can't recall them all the time.
Sure can, Judge. So, and this is just the order that they were submitted, and I logged them in, but the first one was Everlong Consulting out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Their proposal was $30,100. The second one was a company called Community Scale, LLC, out of Somerville, Massachusetts. And their proposal, their cost was $34,730. They did a project for Northern Kentucky, a fairly broad scale project for the Northern Kentucky ad, which was something that I noted on there on my other notes, which I thought was interesting. The fourth firm was PES, Partners for Economic Solutions, out of Washington, D.C., and their proposal was $67,960. This firm actually has a Lexington office and played a pretty big role, I think, in some of Lexington comprehensive plan rewrite stuff. The next firm was Blueprint Kentucky from UK. Dr. Allison Davis be the principal on that plan. And the price was $16,800. The next one is a firm we know, MWM Consulting. That's Lucas Witt's firm out of Lexington. And their proposal came in right at $60,000. Their proposal was the thicker of the ones I sent out to you because they actually submitted full reference style other plans that they worked on in other communities. The last two, we've got then TPMA out of Indianapolis, and that was a proposal came in at $96,596.
How much was that, Steve? Sorry.
$96,596 out of Indianapolis. That was firm number 6. And then the Bluegrass ad got theirs in on time, but was the 7th of the 7 that we got, and out of Lexington, obviously, and theirs was $7,120. Bluegrass ad.
And Steve, if you don't mind, one of the things that we talked about briefly right before this meeting, but you kind of talked about the basic things that we're looking for in this study, and you enumerated those.
Yeah.
If you could just mention that again, I think it's really helpful when you're going back over this.
Yeah, I think as we were looking through the proposals, or initially our RFP, I think the goal was to do some kind of housing analysis that would be targeted towards affordable housing initiative in the urban service boundaries. And then with the goal of taking specific targeted incomes, like, 30 average median income, 30%, 50%, 80%, whatever. Getting to that amount of data, which is out there already. There's a gap analysis been done for Kentucky, and it shows what we need for different counties. But then taking those targets, taking that gap analysis, that sort of breaks that out, but then getting to the big question, which is, what type of units are those? Are those apartments? Are those single-family homes? Are those one-bedroom apartments? Are those mortgages? Are those rents? Because ultimately, that's where I think the other studies that were done for other communities, that's where you need to go to really figure out, what's the target out there we're trying to serve by any kind of a housing affordability study or partnership between, let's say, the city and a private developer, or a developer coming in here. I think the general consensus would be that everyone needs a single-family detached home. But if you're in that 30% AMI and your household income is under 60, and that may need to be a rent. That may need to be apartments single moms and kids, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom apartment. We don't, that's the kind of data that we lack in that initial housing study or we have currently to really figure out what are those unit types. Got a lot of developers will come in the community and say, oh, we'll do something affordable. Yeah, we're interested in doing affordable housing, and you know, the home price is going to be $360 to $425. You know, but you know, what we're trying to get at is what is the need in that gap analysis, and what does that break down to unit type, and are those rents or mortgages? And then how we get there, if it's even possible. And that's what we were hoping to have delivered by this study. And most of the firms have a plan to how to get there, and have some examples that they've done it in other communities to get those kind of data.
And I would just say, I've got to go to another meeting, but I want to just weigh in and give my thoughts with no obligation to take them. You can take them or leave them. I just want to talk generally about the proposals without numbers on them. I was intrigued by the community scale. I think that's the name of it. Mm-hmm. The way they laid it out seemed to be pretty close to what we were looking at. I really liked UK's Blueprint Kentucky. I feel like they start out with an advantage after already doing the housing study. We've already worked with Allison Davis. You know, I actually know more than even is put in the RFP because we already done some stuff, but I really like that one. MWM was really thorough, is really good. I appreciated it. And if I was doing like a top 3, that's probably what I would have said. That's just my thoughts before I have to get out.
Great.
And don't let that is just one thought from, I welcome, you know, everybody's opinion.
Sure, I'll say 2 things. So I thought all these were excellent.
Yeah, they're good.
And I kind of know this world a little bit. I know friends who work in this. Actually, it's interesting, even the national ones, I'm 1 degree separation from a lot of these people. I know people I worked with or studied with and things like that. So I don't want to say anything bad about any of these. I thought they were all really, really good.
They were.
I'll be honest and say I just drew a line underneath the 96, 90, and 60,000 ones and said, in a perfect world, we'd be looking at them, but I just don't think we are at this point. I looked at them. I thought they were already good. I agree with you, Judge, on the community scale, and they had the housing dashboard thing and other ways that we could get into it. I have to say the Lucas Witt one I thought wasn't actually that focused on what we want. It looked like it was more interested in economic development, and realtor and commercial real estate directed. That's fine. I mostly looked at them to see where they get in their data, because it seems to me the way these big national firms work, they're all doing some of the same stuff. They're all drawing on the same data. They're putting it together. They've got blueprints. They've got national models, and I think we might get a better sense from some of these more expensive ones on what's out there in the rest of the world, but that's not that hard to find. And I'm sure that Allison Davis, for instance, and others. So in the end, I kind of boiled it down to cost, timeline, and where they get in their data from. And all of them are pretty much citing the same classic data sources. They're looking at an American Community Survey, they're looking at Census, Kentucky Data Center, Realtor Data, Zillow, Trulia. And there's not much difference there on what they're getting. One of them, Everlong, actually was a little bit weak on telling us where the stuff was going to come from. They're the only ones who kind of fell down that a little bit. I found some really interesting ideas. The Lucas Witt one, I thought one of their best things they offered was finding peer communities. Mm-hmm. That's really hard to do, but I still thought that was an interesting kind of thing. Even if we don't go with them, that's something to think about. I don't particularly want to propose junkets when the judge and the mayor are in the room, but you know, sometimes those kinds of things are worth looking at. So in the end, I'm just going to admit I came down to the ones that were 30,000 and under, and I just, for the same reasons that the judge mentioned, I like Blueprint Kentucky. Although I noticed their timeline is off.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one issue.
June 26th rather than.
Yeah.
Talk to someone.
Didn't know if that was a typo possibly, because the rest were all, I put that on my spreadsheet. I just logged some things in the delivery dates. They all had January 26th, which is what we asked for the target. Mm-hmm. And then that one was June 26th. But again, they've got several projects in their pipeline. I know they're finishing up a few comprehensive plans even. And then there was this transition to their new kind of office format. So I'm guessing that their timeline was adjusted because of their current workload.
I will say that I did not consider the Bluegrass sad one. I just thought it was lacking.
Yeah.
In inspiration and in data sources and everything else.
Steve, I noticed in your packet that you divide our process up into having maybe interviews and negotiations, and that would be a chance to hammer out
Gave
things
those
that-
options if needed, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so that's on page 4. The idea was to get you guys the proposals. The deadline was the 1st, and again, it's tight timeline here, but get you the proposals in due the 1st, got them to you guys the next week, and then interviews if needed could happen. And then the approval of the contract would be right around this time. But I think the plan was this committee would come up with an idea, a firm maybe, and then we would roll it to the planning commission to formally give us authority, maybe me and Henry, to get with the firm and negotiate with the firm or deal with any other maybe shortcomings you guys maybe saw. But again, the proposals were all great. But really,
I assumed we were paying for it. That's why, as chair of the budget.
That's my question.
That's why I assumed as chair of the budget committee that I was cutting out the $96,000.
Yeah.
I
So
thought
that-
you guys were paying for it.
We never worked that out formally, but the idea was, we knew before the budget was kind of working, we'd be in that 8,000 to 10,000. We had a little bit of placeholder money in the carryover, but if it got maybe, let's say, over 8, 9, 10,000, we'd probably have talked to the cities and the county about kind of how do we maybe do a split on this. But I think what I looked at is anything over, about $9,000 or so, the planning commission would pay, we got 9, and anything
Your budget
over,
for this is about 9.
about 9, and anything over, we'd ask the cities and counties kind of pony up maybe the other half or something. For example, the UK one, if that was like $8,000, maybe planning commission pays 8, and the cities and counties. And funny enough, I just didn't know, the cities and counties use these ninths formulas. You guys have used this, but I had Kenneth actually calculate the actual acreage in the urban service boundaries, like what's the physical acreage, and then who owns what, because we got
Funny, I
poles.
did that today, but only
Yeah.
for something else we got on the hearing today.
Well, so I did that 6,609 acres and some changes in the USBs. And in the Versailles one, there's a lot of gaps. It's not all city of Versailles. We got county. So it comes out to the city of Versailles has about 60% of the footprint in the 2 USBs. The county's about 24.48, and Midway's about 15%. So if you did kind of some splits like that, these dollar amounts are pretty small, Mayor. If you guys had to put in 15% of 6,000 or something, or 5,000, whatever the split would be. But yeah, in our planning commission budget, we have a comp plan line item. It currently has 0 in it, but we have some carryover money that we knew we'd program to this if the prices came in right. We didn't know where they'd come in, so we didn't know. We were hoping, perfect world, they come in at 5,000 or something. And there's a good chance they'd come in at 60, 90, 70, something.
They're a little bit all over the place.
Yeah. A lot of staff.
Kind of always concerns me a little bit whenever I see bidding like that, like the 10-man water tower. You saw all the bids, they were all over the place. We said, well, we got to back up and figure out what's going on.
That's
here.
true.
I don't think that's the case here.
Yeah. Some of them had quite a bit of staff. Some had other firms. To Rich's point, they were pulling some data. The main principal's doing this. Another firm was coming in and doing some kind of other information. You're fine. And so, yeah, I think that's some of them. If you looked at them, there was 10 resumes on one. The other had 3. So I think that's some of where the cost differences came in. So. Mayor, you right on time? I know you are. We're just talking about the proposals, just going around the room on kind of preferences and costs and.
And really, the judge, he, without regard to cost, his top 3, just to catch the mayor up, he liked Community Scale, Blueprint Kentucky, and MWM. Without regard to cost. And then Rich, he liked Blueprint Kentucky. I think you were also impressed with Community Scale. And you also liked MW.
I would not.
Oh, you did not.
I'll go with MW.
Sorry.
That's mine, but that's the ones there. You need to refresh.
So that's pretty much where we
That's the
started.
lowest and that's the highest.
My notes. So that's pretty much where we are on that.
Yeah, that was the TPMA. So we're just going through that, and then we're just talking about cost.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I kind of the same thoughts about the proposals. My top was blueprint, except for the quibble with the timeline, and maybe it's a misprint. I don't know. It seemed so weirdly
Their kickoff
out
was
of.
later, so I think it's probably accurate. They were,
Okay,
the rest
yeah.
were showing kickoffs right in September, and theirs was
Like
November.
next week, some of them.
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I think it's
yeah.
just that we'd have to talk with them about, why that was, and
Yeah.
if that's a big deal breaker for us.
I mean, that was my top one, but I had some questions like the timeline, but also just how, because they've done a report before, how happy everybody was with their work.
The prior study.
The prior study. And then I actually had community scale as second. I like this, their work in Northern Kentucky, and then, they have the flashy dashboard, the GIS dashboard, which could be nice to share with the community, I guess, if that's possible. I don't. And I actually had Everlong. You read the first one and you're like, oh, this is impressive, but it kind of stuck with me. But they are less experienced. But
Which one is that?
the Everlong, the first one. But I like their work. They haven't worked anywhere near here, but they did a lot of work in the Minneapolis area, I guess, on small municipalities. So, and it seemed impressive, but and I kind of had the same thoughts about the MWM as it seemed. I thought their examples didn't really fit what we were asking. It was kind of out of and the commercial real estate kind of angle, but they're all kind of same comments. They were all good and sort of sticker shock on the 96,000 one, but yeah.
So, Rich, can you remind me your thoughts on Everlong? I think you didn't know where some of their data come from.
I liked Everlong. They're one of those ones who I kind of knew, I could place their people also.
Yeah.
They're in order, just like
And I
that.
like some of their strategies about rental, comments on rentals and those kinds of things. I do have a note to myself that I don't see much info on data sources
Yeah.
from them. But given that they're all coming from the same place,
Mm-hmm.
but it just still, if you're just trying to differentiate, that was a missing thing for me.
It seems like, from a consensus standpoint, community scale and Blueprint Kentucky have kind of taken the lead. Obviously, Blueprint Kentucky, from a cost standpoint, obviously much more in what we were thinking, but the timeline. And I'll defer back to Steve on this. That timeline, if there's no budge on that, that's a problem. I like their stuff too,
Yeah.
but for that.
Yeah.
So from a standpoint, if there's no budge on that timeline, it's going to delay us getting the comprehensive plan completed, essentially.
It's an important step if we're all committed to this housing study and the outcomes that we hope land in the comprehensive plan. Then it puts us in a holding pattern to June. The other proposal, the goal was, end of the year, 1st of January, and we've got something back, a deliverable, and then now we've got several chapters kind of in the can, ready to go, get out to the public and present them to the public before we would ever start public hearing discussion, and then we still have the land use domino at the end. Yeah, it delays some, January to June, but
maybe we could negotiate and see if they can do it.
and if it's the right firm and the intangibles there, whether it be cost or using someone we know, it's a handful of months. Yeah, it could cause us a little delay, but it might be worth in the long run if we're saving some money. And
It's not the end of the world, would it be? To delay the comp plan coming out? It's been this, yeah.
at this point, we're just
Should have been another chair on the committee that could have streamlined it.
yeah, exactly.
Well, and let me ask, I think I know the answer to this, but who's paying for this? It would.
Well, the city of Versailles,
I
of
know
course.
they would.
No.
The question, no,
That's
trust
not a
me.
rhetorical
No, we talked about that.
I asked
before
you
you
to.
got here. So,
Yeah.
Planning Commission has a little bit of money. We thought initially we thought, boy, if this can come in 75 to 10,000, we can cover this. If not, we'd probably ask the city and the county to participate. So at this point, the Planning Commission would look at its budget, and I think, for example, if the UK 16,000 and we said, well, planning commission pay half, and maybe the governments could pick up the other half, and come up with some kind of formula based on that. Or, funny enough, as soon as we get one of these big building permits hit here in the fall or spring, there's a good chance planning commission could probably cover it off. We were in that kind of range. We move up the hill to these ones in the 30s or 60s, we definitely would have to figure out a partnership on how we fund it. But if it's 7,000, 16,000, something like that, I mean, we could figure out a way through our funding formula to make it work. It wouldn't be a ton.
'Cause I think I remember when we first started talking about this, you know, we were sort of
Maybe
throwing
coming
around
at
like
10,
15,000 maybe.
10,
but then-
15,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
sort of that.
Just didn't
number.
know.
Yeah,
Didn't
right,
know.
right. So I was surprised by some of these.
We all were.
Yeah.
I was just-
And the range.
I was surprised we got 7, honestly, and I was surprised it came from so many states. That really was shocking. I think there's interest out there. And then, like I said, when we look at these type of proposals and how they were being staffed and where travel, there was some calls. I had calls about, can these be Zoom meetings? Do we have to show up? So you can kind of see why some of these costs changed like they did.
Well, just to add my thoughts, I know we heard Judge gave us his thoughts before you got here, and of course Mayor Dake can share her thoughts, but you know, I just think that, again, we were all kind of thinking 7 to 10 grand, and I know everything costs way more than it used to nowadays, but you know, Allison Davis is a known entity, and I'm much more comfortable with the cost sharing on that price, because this is another unbudgeted expense for us, you know, and I'm just really getting weary of unbudgeted expenses. Now, that's very doable for us, but I mean, I started to look at, I mean, could we do the 34,000 one? Yeah, but it's just sort of, gosh, it just starts to irk me a little bit having to do unbudgeted expenses that frankly, no offense, aren't emergencies. So, you know, I just look at that price. To me, Blueprint Kentucky got the closest to the price we sort of all had in our heads. And she's a known entity. She did really good work. I thought of the one we did a few years ago. I was really impressed with the work she did.
So, yeah, Mayor, I don't have my phone, but if you all had to put in 15% of
Yeah, it's very doable for us. It's not a big, that doesn't bother
5,
me.
8,000 or
Yeah,
7,500, it's not a ton.
It's like $1,200, I think.
For
or
sales.
something like that.
Mayor, what we did is, before you got here, I had Kenneth calculate the urban service boundary in acres. We were talking about vacant property, because, you know, we were brainstorming, well, if we were doing something, it'd probably be on vacant, but you don't know, we might do a redevelopment of
So it would be
something.
4 nines, 4 nines, and 1 9?
Well, we could do it that way, but we thought, let's look at acres, that kind of makes sense, you know, the footprint of the urban service boundary and whose jurisdiction is it. And it turns out, you know, Versailles would be 60%, county would be about 25%, Midway's about 15%.
And if we were
Your urban service
We
boundary-
could do it by population,
Yeah.
which is based on the tax base.
That's the best deal for our
We could do it, and Kenneth could calculate the population in that urban service, but we're really not proposing to do things out in the county. I think we all agree we're not gonna be building subdivisions or apartment complexes out there. So in the urban service boundary, it's just interesting to me that the county, 25% of the urban service boundary was actually fiscal
County.
court, not the city of Versailles.
Yeah.
And I think there might be one little gap in Midway that's county.
They're so small. We're
They're
so close
really
to
small.
getting rid of those.
But in the Versailles one, it's interesting,
Almost there.
25% is county, so we just thought it would make sense to maybe a partnership based on that USB, and it could be population or acres, whatever.
The
makes
USB percentage is actually better for Versailles than because if we go 1/9, that's 11%.
Yeah.
So we got the USB percentage is 15%
bit,
for Midway,
yeah.
which is not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a couple of these proposals, it's just not that big of a difference.
And we're not exactly sure if there'll be a project or what it would domino to, especially maybe in Midway versus, but it's definitely something the mayor's brought up is something we're trying to, and Mayor, you brought it up too, that's something we need to at least look at in the comprehensive plan update, so.
I have another question, I guess, and maybe it might involve Henry. My screen just went blank. I don't remember, so I missed the part in the RFP about how we were asking them also to put together kind of an adoptable chapter. I have my concerns about that, given how the last one went and the feelings that were hurt over it. But I get that. But I don't remember in I keep wanting to say CDIC, where they could Blueprint Kentucky. I remember they're saying they were doing a chapter, whereas one of them, did they mention that?
Yeah,
I guess in the question for you,
I
Henry,
think
is
they
once
did.
an RFP is in, we have these kinds of questions. Can we go back and clarify some stuff with these guys? Yeah. All right.
Yep.
I think we're gonna pay for the product, and I don't think that there's anything that binds us to use it in a certain way.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they did.
when it's there on the table.
And that's a matter for negotiation. If they're intent on the, reputational boost from having their name in our plan.
My question was more about, can we at this moment, can Steve at this moment give these guys a call and clarify things in these RFPs?
Yeah, I think in your directive, sure. I think we could, if there's things y'all want me to clarify.
Do you expect that would change their approach?
I just was thinking about how strongly people felt about having the adoptable chapter, if
Okay.
that wasn't in there, really, that's all.
Yeah, let me see here. I thought it was in here.
It probably was, Steve.
Yeah, it's on page 5 of their proposal. On the deliverables, it's number A is a final housing study report. B is a summary document formatted to be included as a new housing chapter in the Versailles-Midway comprehensive plan. And then, of course, electronic documents, shape files for any GIS stuff. It's in their deliverable page.
In my defense, I'll just say I read them in dollar order.
In the beginning, in their summary document, in the front part, it was in the deliverable section. I think the idea was, again, we just had some basic data in the current comprehensive plan, just almost census data. And to Commissioner Shine's point, I think the goal here is not to, this chapter would be somewhat summary, but I think it would just be more to take that gap analysis data that we're probably going to get and just break it down a little deeper on what it means for this community and these two urban service boundaries. And then ultimately, maybe there's an outcome in the land use map, maybe there's not.
Yeah. And also, the way they presented their stuff is the way that we usually have the chapter anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So do are we saying we want to approach Blueprint Kentucky and is that the next step?
We'll inquire
Should
about
we
maybe the
inquire about the
timeline.
dates and- Yeah.
It's whatever you guys want to do. I think this group's making a recommendation formally to the planning commission, who then would take the budgetary step. If we're entering into a contract, we would need the planning commission to say we're going to go with this firm based on a recommendation from the comp plan committee, and then Henry and I would talk to them about some kind of contractual step. But if there's questions, we can do that next.
Obviously, it appears we have a consensus that what I'm hearing, the only problem or concern is the timeline on the UK stuff, and whether the summary report. I don't think that's an issue. I don't think they're booking on advertisement from that. If they are, then we can revisit that. I would think, but we definitely have a consensus on Blueprint Kentucky, right? Everybody's on board, and I'm all for giving Steve and Henry authority or recommending to the full commission, giving you all authority to talk to them and negotiate the timeline and see what type of perhaps give there is on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Do we need a motion from the committee or to recommend that to the full commission?
I think that'd be appropriate.
I'll move that we do what Chad just said.
Oh, I'll second. Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Looks like it carries. And so future meeting dates, we probably need to go ahead and at least set one more up. What's the thoughts on that? Because assuming the full commission is okay with this, we'd probably need, I'm thinking September.
Yeah, and in fact,
If somebody wanted to push it out to after the first of the year when there's new committee officers and stuff, that's something to take.
I think we're just rolling those committees.
I don't know. No, I'm not committing to that at this point.
yeah, we could set something up for the September meeting, just since there's a follow-up kind of issue here that we could bring you guys back together. Or we could just take it straight to the planning commission and give you an update at the September meeting. If the group doesn't want to get back together as the comp plan group, we could just bring you what we find out at the September planning commission under new business and say this is, whichever you guys want to do, we can meet again before the meeting in September.
I'm okay with that, if the other committee members are.
Sorry, I lost track of what we were talking about.
So we're gonna,
We reconvene this group to come back, so tell you what we found out with their proposal deadline.
Because we have to get permission from the full planning commission to do this,
For expenditures, yeah.
it involves the budget.
At some point, the planning commission's got a green light that we're entering into this contract.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're
Do we
still.
have capacity to do a vote like that ad hoc in between meetings or not?
Hmm.
I'm just thinking about, we're pushing it off till September, and we wanted to start yesterday, and now we're back talking about next May. Like, can we not speed this up anyway?
Well, if we reach out to them and they say our window's kind of this November to June, then we're not starting till November.
So I guess to Grayson's point, do we care that much? Is it a deal breaker?
Yeah. If they say we're
Is it a
firm
deal
on
breaker?
that,
If they say, no, we can push that on that anyway.
then you guys
but
need to
is
come
it a
back and
deal
talk about
breaker?
other firms or.
Okay, so this is my thoughts, but we will need a consensus. If we're okay with, obviously, Steve and Henry can apply as much pressure as they want, but I'd be for asking the full commission for the green light on the budget. Can we do that tonight on the budget?
Sure.
Cause we got to streamline this, okay.
Sure.
That's what I would ask, and then give Steve and Henry, authority to negotiate on the timeline as they see fit with regard to the 16,000 and what was that? $16,800.
And then we could have a contract, if everything went to well, then there'd be a contract ready to approve at the next planning commission meeting. The budget authorization, not just a general authorization, or you guys could wait till next month and do it. Once we come back and,
Yeah, I think we try to streamline this if it's a consensus, to give you all authority for that amount, and then authority to negotiate on the timeline.
Yeah.
If everybody is okay with that. And then if they can't start, that's one good thing. If we have the contract at the next meeting, the delay doesn't affect that.
Right.
Is everyone okay with that approach?
yes, yep.
The only reason for this committee to jump back into the fray again would be if the mayors needed to talk about any additional funding, but maybe that can be worked out.
we could talk through that. Or we just send them an invoice, basically. For 100%. Is that what we said? The county? The mayor might support that.
Who's not here?
He's not here.
Both mayors might support that. Save you 15%.
Say them 60.
Yeah.
Yes, looking out for the.
Yeah.
What happens when you leave early?
Pick up.
Well, that's great.
Okay, so at this point, no future meetings of this committee, and then we can reconvene if we have to.
Yeah, we got some other committee work to do too. Some of you guys are on other committees. We got some other stuff we need to be working on over the next few months anyhow.
And I didn't exactly hear what James said, but he was okay with Blueprint Kentucky as well.
Yeah.
Blueprint, his top three
Yeah, it was his top
was Blueprint, Kentucky, Community Scale, and
MWM.
MWM.
Yeah, okay.
So does that take care of
Good with that?
everything on our agenda?
Yep.
Yep.
So I think we're ready for adjournment, if we don't need anything else.
That was just.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Yes. I make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor, have a motion, have a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Would you love being on the planning commission?
Just spent some money, so, you know,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. Hey, Doug.
Hey, how you doing?
See you.
Good to see you.
Hey, Grayson, you got
Good to
2
see
seconds?
Grayson.
What's that?
You got 2 seconds?
Yeah.
So we worked well, Mary Beth.
Thanks, y'all. See you.
Question is there a food truck out there?
Can you make it here?
I have like lunch, I'm over to get checked. Yep.
And I did something, but we all kind of got.
Yeah, can you call me?
Just have
What's your connection to College of Fine Arts?
So I'm at the Geologic Survey we're at UK, and we have this podcast, and we interviewed the art director at the art museum.
Nice.
It's like geology and art, and so she gave us these baubles. That's fine. Yeah.
Kind of a hidden gem. Not to use the geology pun, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
seems nice.
Oh man, it's really nice. Yeah, more, I'm just sort of impressed, like the stuff they have in that collection.
Walk in and see.
Yeah, it's great.
That was earlier this month. Since then, I've talked about it.
Does the podcast have a funny name?
Yeah, it doesn't, but we're the Big Blue Rock Pod. So we just recorded our 45th episode.
Wow, that's a commitment.
Yeah, it's been fun. We just talk about different topics. It's sort of light, so it's not. I try to make it for the general public.
Was it a pandemic project? Is that the origin?
No, actually, it started after it was. I think my colleague Matt that's what he's thinking of the entire podcast. So, but yeah, it's fun.
If you notice, is that how it's supposed to? It's like he's woke up from a deep sleep when we opened their garage.
No, but I mean, it's.
We started what we call soft entry, coming in the driveway, parking. Somebody would go in and
I guess you guys couldn't have to mow it.
I know, there you go, I know.
and then either put the door on or really exactly.
No, I know.
You know, it's like, it's crazy. That's like folklore, but it works. So I'm not.
I guess that project never
Start losing
happened.
it. Start looking like a possum.
And even the churches are in back parking lots.
Thyroid issues. We've got him on thyroid medicine, but nothing. He's still there. But this Monday, it's like it was out this weekend. My mother was over. I like taking this blanket from him and messing with him. Yes.
No,
Monday
across the street.
No, I know, but
he
there
was like
some when
hunched over like his back was hurting.
They didn't talk to us about it. He was all they talked to us was add parking space.
Yeah.
We took
They're gonna build
they think it's congested
two-story
heart.
building
They didn't
behind their
talk.
church.
But it's like,
Yeah.
but we've got him on
No, they
medicine.
just talked about,
Ultrasound next week, echocardiogram.
was the developer called me, or the engineer for fixing
And,
that.
but he's on medicine and he's normal to an extent, but he's still, when they get that age, they're sleeping a lot and stuff.
You know, it's funny,
But, he's been a good dog.
some zoning ordinances prohibit doing standalone. So actually, because you would never want someone just wall-to-wall parking it.
No, right.
Well,
But our
apparently
neighborhood business
this,
zone doesn't.
this money
You would
for
think the neighborhood business
the
zone.
ultrasound can tell them what to dose the heart medicine. But a problem, like the thyroid
Make them do a
medicine,
CUP or just say it's on, it has to be a building or
we
something.
give him
Yeah.
3
The
milligrams.
fact that they can turn that whole lot of the parking lot, that just doesn't.
Yeah, that's not
Good
good.
use.
Right. no.
I do too. I like the gummies, the melatonin gummies. But,
They did landscape.
but the heart medicine, he does not like.
It looks better than when they first built it.
We have to put that back
We
around.
talked to her
The
about
heart medicine. They say it's like,
Well, if you got anything else,
for
let
some
me
reason,
know.
Yeah, let
yes.
me know if you hear anything.
I will.
Our friends.
Yep.
12, he was 12 in May. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I lost both of my dogs I had within a year.
Yeah. Mine's 13 years old.
Is it January?
What kind of dog do you have?
The Jack Russell American Hunt Terrier mix, little baby dog.
Good health at this point?
Yeah, until now, it's like now you got like arthritis and you can't go out of the house down to the garage and I have to pick him up to take him outside. Yeah.